Decided to add a switch, little toggle switch, to a fixture on my shop lamp, the one that comes with the craftsman table, because, well, for some reason stuff these days doesn't come with a switch. So I just popped the top off of there. Make sure, of course, everything is unplugged before you start working on electrical equipment. Toggle switch is gonna go right in that black wire. That's the one that gets interrupted, because that's where all your power is coming from. They crimped on the wire nut, so I couldn't just disconnect the wire nut and put the switch in between that. I gotta find a place to put the toggle switch. And there's a little bad boy, got that off of Amazon. That is a single pole, 120 volt. It's got the little on-off decal there, which kind of helps. I mean, you know, how many positions are you going to go with an on-off switch? Just match it up, make sure there's enough room. I wanted to mount it on the side, but there wasn't enough room where the fixture is mounted underneath the bench, so I had to put the switch in the center between the lamps, which fortunately fluorescent lamps don't get that hot. Of course, because I'm terrible with measurements, just eyeballing stuff, I need to get the calipers out. In the end, I just got the biggest drill bit I found. And my handy dandy DeWalt. Love DeWalt's. I won't hear a bad thing about him, damn it. And this is why you want to take the cover off before you start drilling on anything, especially an electrical device, because you do not accidentally want to just drill through stuff, especially a ballast. And of course, you never ever want to work on an electrical device while it's energized. Yeah, see that nice little pull with the drill there. Gotta get that little piece of metal out of there, and jump cut to no metal there. Toggle switch fits nice. Next step is to just tighten it up. I would really like to make this into a T5 lamp holder, so I'm gonna need to replace the ballast and the tombstones. Those are the little lamp holders on the end, which it's not that expensive. I checked the parts on Amazon. It's about 20 bucks for the tombstones and for the ballast. So I will probably make another video about that. Make sure that the toggle switch is in there snug, because you don't want to lose toggle. There you go. Yeah, it gives you a chance to fine tune it. Get everything in there. Put the plate on first before you put that second nut on there. Fortunately, the plate is idiot proof, which comes in handy for me because, well, yeah, you know. Get all that cinched down, make sure there's no play. You don't have to go crazy with it, but it should be a little bit tighter than finger tight. as straight as possible. Even though where it's positioned, you're not going to be able to see it because it's underneath. It's above the bench, but it's underneath a little shelf. And now, once again, make sure nothing is plugged in when you go cutting wires in an appliance. So just sever it, because that's the hot wire. That's where all the power's coming from. Strip off the ends. Bada bing, bada boom. I love this little device because it doesn't nick the wires as easily as stripping it with a needle nose or just any kind of manual wire stripper. I went a little too high because I didn't want to nick the wires. Nicking the wires will create some resistance. Resistance creates heat, and heat is a bad thing when it comes to electrical devices. Ideally, you want to create a little hook in those wires to hook them on the terminal screws, just to make it a little harder for them to pull loose, just in case something gets moved or shifted. This is fairly obvious here. Just gotta unscrew the terminal screws. And you want to make sure when you hook the wires that they go around the screws clockwise. So when you tighten the screws down, it kind of tightens the wire with it. Because if you hook the wires opposite to how the screw gets tightened, it'll actually push the wire out. So there's our incoming power. Always remember when you're installing a switch to make sure that the voltage rating matches the application. Like this is 120 volt rated switch for 120 volt lamp. You don't want to use a 12 volt switch for 120 volts because poof. It's a really small wire. I think it was like 16 or something. Little tiny wires on a little tiny terminal screw. I will spare you nothing in this video. I'm just making sure there's a good connection. I always like to test my connections too, just give the wires a little bit of tug. Normally there shouldn't be any stress on those wires, but when you're installing and whatnot, wires can pull free. See, right there. And then I prefer to tape any kind of bare connections, like those terminal screws, just in case there's an accidental contact with the metal, because that'll create a short, and again, nothing good can come of that. If you're plugging it into a surge protector, that may trip, or it may actually trip your circuit breaker for that circuit. Once you do that, you should be able to find out where your short is. And if it's something you just worked on, that should be pretty easy to track. Just get a little bit of tape on there. I couldn't find my black electrical tape, so I went with the blue stuff. But as long as it's good and thick, and you put 4 or 5 layers around it, your terminal should be secure. everything's set. Now it's just putting this little bad boy back together. It's really, yeah, those are the lamp holders I was talking about with changing it to a T5. Those will have to come out and the new ones will have to go in. So the T5 are smaller, more energy efficient lamps. Yeah, this whole fixture's kind of cheesy. It's not even held together with screws, it's held together with little tabs. Make sure none of the wires get snagged on anything. Because again, the wires get snagged and it nicks that insulation. That nick touches something metallic, it's going to short something out. Once everything's in place, it snaps right back together. Just so. I said it snaps back together. This guy's not listening. There we go. And there's the fixture with the new switch. All done. No shocks, no explosions.